Drake Interplanetary. Gordísimo. Quiero mi Corsair. Quiero mi Corsair. Buenas, Mauro.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Star Citizen Live. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee. I heard somebody's phone vibrate. I heard it. Welcome to the show. It is Friday, October, 28th, 2022. We are here broadcasting from the Only Constant. If you've never seen Star Citizen Live before, it's where we take about an hour out of the end of our week and we hang out with some of our developers who are help making one of our two tremendous games that are currently in development, Star Citizen and Squadron 42. On the show this week, we've got members from the Mission Feature team up first, and then we're going to a member of the EU Sandbox 2 team, is that right? Sandbox 2 team? See, he's nodding. The Sandbox 2 team in the back half. So strap on in, we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Before we get started, I want to remind folks that Inside Star Citizen came back yesterday. If you haven't had a chance to check that out on YouTube, be sure you take a look at that. It's the first show from inside our new Manchester studios here in Enterprise City in the heart of downtown Manchester. We'll be showing a little bit of the new office here and there. It's still under construction. Not all the floors are open and everything. We want to wait until the whole thing is ready and really make a big impact. But we'll see what we can sneak in here and there along the way. During Inside Star Citizen, we met with John Griffiths from the EU Sandbox 2 team. And he took us on a tour of the new underground facilities, the planning stages, where we showed a wonderful...
Nada, se está comentando simplemente el tema del Inside ayer, ¿no? De lo que vimos, que lo tenéis ahí en mi YouTube también, si le queréis echar un vistazo. Nos enseñaban el tema de los búnkeres y también el tema del Gen 12, que la verdad que pinta muy prometedor la tecnología de Gen 12, que supongo que vamos a recibir la 318. Veremos a ver.
Sylvan, Engine Programmer 3. Apologies, from our Frankfurt studio as he took us on a tour of the current state of the Gen 12 renderer, which will basically yield all manner of performance improvements in Alpha 3.18 and beyond. So definitely want to check that out if you haven't already. But let's move on to today. So on today's show, we are starting with two members from the esteemed Mission Feature team. We've got Elliot and Max. Elliot, Max, how you doing, guys?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, good.
Welcome to the Only Constant.
Bueno, lo que tenemos aquí es a Elliot y a Max, que son del equipo de misiones, ¿no? De esos temas de misiones de investigación que lo estuvieron hablando y tal. Vamos a ver qué nos cuentan.
Back.
No back. Well,
No back.
it's to help with your posture.
If you saw that video, my posture was not good.
Well, these chairs, while incredibly comfortable, are also not good for your posture. I think everybody who sits in these chairs for a while ends up like slowly slouching down. Oop, I just moved my desk. It's not good. It's not good. So watch out for that during the show. Max, this is your first time
Yep,
here?
first time.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited. It's a very nice spaceship.
This is your first time on the live show too?
Yeah, I was on an ISC a few weeks ago, talking about what we'll be talking about today. But yeah.
Okay. But you've never done the live show before, so
No, never.
Are you nervous?
A little bit
I
nervous.
mean, literally anything can happen.
I've live streamed before, so it's all right.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then.
Sorry.
All right. You want to change chairs?
No,
right. All right. So we're having you on because at CitizenCon, which was on October 8th, and you can watch these presentations that we're talking about on our YouTube channel. Elliot, you were part of a presentation on about a new mission type called Investigations, that moves away from the cargo and trading missions, moves away from the combat missions that we have, and attempts to move the gameplay of the persistent universe towards a, well, how would you explain it?
It's so when we're building stuff, and because of the scale of this game, we try to build things very modularly, and because we build very modularly, it means there can't be a lot of story injected into it because injecting story into stuff is very difficult. So this is our way at looking not only at trying to build something modular, but also trying to inject heavy amounts of story in it to really bring the PU to life.
Está diciendo de que, bueno, a diferencia de lo que estamos acostumbrados a las misiones de recoger caja o de combate y tal, quieren hacer otro tipo de misiones y le comenta a Discolando que explique un poco de qué es lo que va, ¿no? Lo que están haciendo. Dice, tratamos de conseguir un modelo que sea bastante modular y poder inyectar historia.
Drove us there.
So, investigations are the tech that's there for them already exists. So a lot of this we can push ourselves in MFT, and what that means is we can leave other teams alone to do their stuff without us constantly bugging them for a little bit of this, a little bit of that, because all the fundamentals are there. So it's something that MFT can sort of own and just push all the way, and without bugging anyone, doing anything. And it's also quite a fun thing to do, having an investigation, letting people think, come up with their own answers, potentially talk about it, have different answers. I think it's just a fun game mode.
I appreciate the candor in that answer. Basically, it's if we wanted to do something else, it would require more people from outside the team and stuff like this, and you wanted to tackle a task that could be relatively self-contained within MFT.
Yes.
So that led us to investigations. Were there other avenues that you guys considered before landing on investigations?
There was a few other things that, we have this sort of, I guess, list of things we'd like to do. But we kind of landed on investigations. It was one of the things I want to push is, on my Siege video, I said I don't like hand-holding, and investigations are very much non-hand-holding, so it's, right up my alley.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Oh,
how does the division of labor work? Because you just said you want something that you can do internally without the need for a lot of external help. But is all of the mission feature team now working on this, and we're not going to get any other missions for the game? Describe to me the scope of work here.
So no, investigations is purely me making, as in the technical part of making it. Along with an engineer, one of our coders. All our other designers on MFT are working on other exciting things, like Max here is also doing something else, and will continue to while I build these investigations. But, sort of the other sort of divisioning up of the work, there's potentially some work on, say, the props team for certain things we might need, but a lot of heavy work sort of on the narrative side, because, like I said, in the CitizenCon, investigation at its core is a story.
So,
claro, está comentando lo de si habían explorado otro tipo de cosas antes de meterse en las misiones de investigación. Y dice que no, que dice que sí, que tenían una lista de cosas que hacer, pero que parecía lo adecuado que querían meterse con el tema de las misiones de investigación y de meterse con el tema de poder tener historia. Aparte dice que bueno, que hay una carga también de narrativa en este caso, y que lo bueno que tiene esto es que, bueno, quitando la narrativa, supongo, es que también lo que están haciendo con estas misiones es enteramente dentro de lo que es el equipo de Mission Feature Team, que no acuden a equipos externos, por lo que están diciendo, ¿no? En este caso, bueno, exceptando lo de la narrativa, ¿no? Aparte de eso, también están diciendo de que no solo significa esto que se estén dedicando solo a las misiones de investigación, sino que también hay parte del equipo también está haciendo otro tipo de cosas interesantes.
And constantly, which will hopefully satisfy that sort of PI lifestyle, but it will also be just sort of like you log on one day and then I got a couple of investigation things I can do, but you'll never do the same one twice.
You say that, but backers are always, players and backers are always going to push things where they want to push things. I think once you give them a little bit of this, they're going to start taking things in their own ways. Stephen Gamer in the chat is already talking about the Pinkertons making a comeback. There's going to be a player org, based on the Pinkertons and what, detective agency and stuff. Even beyond the missions that you create. It's like that. It's going to inspire folks to a new kind of lifestyle. So,
yeah.
You mentioned difficulty, so let's talk about that. there is always an internal debate, and this is with any game. This isn't just exclusively to Star Citizen, but there's also always this debate about how challenging or how much hand-holding should be done. I know in Siege, which came on the last patch, there was some hemming and hawing, I think, within the community about how brutal some of the hand-holding wasn't, if that makes sense. That's probably not the best way to say it. We didn't exactly spell everything out for folks,
No,
which was
yeah.
intentional.
Yes.
Talk to me about this and how we balance this. Because I know what your point of view is.
Okay.
You can tell us what your point of view is, but tell the people, speak to the people and tell them what Elliot's point of view on the difficulty is.
For investigations or for Siege?
No, for anything.
Okay. So when it came to Siege, I kind of wanted to sort of put you in a sandbox and give you tools and then hope that you figure out how to use the tools to achieve a goal. So we started off with, and again, this is one of the good things about having this sort of iterative development, is we can try something and then hone it in over the course. And that's what we did with Siege, is we put out the first version, we collected a bunch of feedback from players, and we saw that, okay, some people didn't like that, so the majority didn't like that. Okay, so we're going to just hone it in a bit and not just go back to our complete old ways of marking everything or doing this or doing that, just sort of go, okay, well, we'll help here a little bit and we'll help here a bit, and then see how that is. But when it comes to investigation, I feel like we'd be doing a sort of disservice to the career path, the sort of the gameplay there, if I was to help out loads. So essentially you'll get a marker to tell you where to go, but the rest of the story from there on you'll have to figure out yourself. We'll give some sort of, maybe like a synopsis of a clue you found to help.
Que están comentando, lo dice Disclando, comenta a los jugadores qué es lo que pueden esperar desde tu punto de vista de cómo quieres que sean las misiones de investigación. En el caso del asedio de Horizon, por ejemplo, está comentando que la idea inicial del asedio de Horizon era entregar en un sandbox las herramientas a los jugadores y que mediante la entrega esperar que los jugadores descubrieran cómo utilizar esas herramientas para poder avanzar en lo que es la misión. Aparte, esto está comentando de que la idea es, en el caso de las misiones de investigación, que sí, evidentemente hubiese una marca para llegar, pero una vez llegues a la marca, a partir de ahí tú tengas que desarrollar, como que averiguar, que investigar qué puedes hacer.
Maybe the ship that I can battle against this other ship with, or I don't have, the personal pilot skill. I can't play my bounty. I've made the bounty system, I can't play it. So, you have that sort of natural skill level, and I think that's a good part of the game, is that you can go, well, I'm at the super rank of being a bounty hunter. I'm the best of the best. And then some other person can be, well, I've solved every single investigation, and that bounty hunter could go, I've tried one and I can't figure it out, sort of thing.
And Max, I'd be interested in hearing your opinion on this. Continuing the difficulty thing, there are people who obviously jump in and play the game for hours and hours and hours. Chris talked at Sysagon about the average, daily play time, skyrocketing in 2022 compared to 2021 and 2020. That said, there are also those people who can only jump in and play for an hour a night. It's a casual pursuit and such like this. How do you balance the difficulty of something, not just investigations, but Siege and everything, for people who can't dump 5-6 hours into a play session? You don't want to leave the for lack of a better term, the filthy casuals. I hate that term, but you don't want to leave those people out. So how do you balance this?
Yeah, I think it's definitely like a challenge, especially in our game, when you can go and essentially choose to do whatever you want to do with your time. So sometimes even those players who play for a long period of time only have 2 hours on a day, right? And they want to hop in and get something done. And for us, when we're looking at balancing things around that, it's very hard to please everybody in every scenario. And I think Siege is a great example where perhaps the players wouldn't have seen us do this, but internally we did lots of play testing and lots of changes to markers or information provided, and sort of tried to find a happy medium between making it too obvious what you need to do and too difficult to find out what you need to do. that was definitely a time, at least for me, where I got to go through that iteration process and see what that is like. But for the rest of the outside of Siege and big events like that, you know, we sort of need markers and that in the game. I think at the moment with the way it is currently, but I think everybody wants it to be phased out less and less, or maybe even find an alternative to things like markers. You know, giving players information through text and them having to decipher what that means, and then perhaps when you get closer, you get a marker. You know. There's loads of ideas, loads of things we could eventually switch.
Claro, está comentando del tema de un poco la dificultad de las misiones y demás. Y bueno, un tema bastante importante que es los jugadores que no tienen tanto tiempo frente a los jugadores que tenemos bastante tiempo para jugar, que cómo hacen para balancear lo que es esa dificultad, para darle acceso al contenido a los diferentes jugadores. Diferentes estilos de jugadores, tanto los casual como los más hardcoretillas. Entonces, comenta de que tienen que hacer, pues en el caso del asedio tuvieron que hacer un constante balanceo para revisar pues qué información se proporcionaba y qué información no se proporcionaba para que no fuera demasiado obvio, pero que tampoco fuera demasiado difícil el complementar la misión. Aparte de esto, nos comenta que fuera de lo que es cosas como el asedio, lo ideal para ellos sería tratar de tener como que... O sea, hay varias ideas que tienen a nivel interno para modificar lo que es la experiencia del juego, quitando lo que es el estado actual del juego, que parece que consideran que sí que necesita esas marcas, pero de cara al futuro, ideas como por ejemplo que tú tengas que leer texto y en base a ese texto puedas sacar conclusiones, y quizás entonces cuando estés cerca del lugar sí se te aparezca un marcador.
Islands, and you know, make them more usable across these sort of scope. So what we've done, and again, it's something we saw in Siege a lot, is when people would play it, they'd be playing in fire teams. Like, for example, Thorsten, the system designer doing hull scraping, his org completed Siege in 12 minutes. So they are very organized, which I was very, you know, I designed it to be like, you know, an hour. And he comes in, he's like, I did it in 12 minutes. I'm like, great. But yeah, so we saw a lot of people like banding together and strategically moving through areas, and, you know, a lot of good comms and sort of military style playthroughs. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to kind of enable that by, say, for example, in one of the missions is, this island is sort of semi-taken over. There are 3 buildings that are currently inhabited with Ninetales, and you're tasked with sort of getting them out. And it allows you to, say, maybe split into 2 different fire teams, communicate through. I'm in like building A, I'm in building B, I'm moving through, like one left, you know. But it also allows for that sort of thing that the UGF lacked, which is multiple entry points. You could get the shuttle from Orison to these islands and go walk all the way there with your friends. You could take a ship and land on the roof and infiltrate and go down. You could take a ship and land on the ground floor if you wanted and take an elevator up. But it kind of allows for, you know, a new FPS area to fight in, and more coordination from the players through more enemies to kill.
And along with that, coming in 3.18 are the Gen 12.
Está comentando algo interesante sobre el tema de las islas flotantes que van a poner para la 3.18, de que se han fijado en grupos de gente que realizan las misiones de forma organizada y que, por ejemplo, consiguieron tumbar el asedio Horizon en unos 12 minutos. Cuando el evento pues, se supone que iba a durar una hora, ¿no? Pues que la gente pues, se organizaba, se dividía con un estilo de juego tipo militar. Entonces se está diciendo de que esto... realmente pues les ha inspirado como hacer una mejor experiencia en las islas estas nuevas que vamos a tener, que son un producto que proviene, ¿no? Que es influencia de lo que son las islas que tenemos en la serie Horizon, para poder hacer diferentes misiones en las que pues habrá diferentes objetivos, habrá más enemigos que matar, y tratar de que la gente pues realmente pueda desarrollar ese juego de estilo militar con buenas comunicaciones, dividiéndose los objetivos, etcétera.
Korea will become a big hotspot for PvP, hopefully, in this patch, and we will see a change back to the past, I believe, where it was similar to this. And it's going to be really interesting to see the overall feedback from the community about what it's like funneling everybody into this dedicated area, whether it helps the PvE players as well as the PvP players, because they sort of separate them out, or maybe PvP players are more focused in one area. But you know, there's lots of data for us to grab from when the patch first drops and all these changes come in. And I don't know as much about the specifics of the mission as Elliot does, so maybe he can give some insight on that.
So it's going to be a sort of player. I just caught it on my eye. Laz is actually in the chat. I just saw a message. He's called Poet. So yeah, that's Laz. So
I just doxed Lars.
No, Laz actually is okay with being known as a dev because he is in Mike's chat and other people's chats. So sorry, Laz, if you didn't want to, but there you go. So yeah, it's hopefully a sort of a player-run systemic thing. So you as the player can go and actually cause this event to yourself. You can control when it runs. You can control, well, I say you can control how it runs for. You can control, as long as you can survive, how long it runs for. But alongside this, it came with sort of, I guess, a needed rebalance overhaul to our law system and how we do crimes and how much we award for crimes, how long it takes to sort of get rid of crimes, where you can land with crimes. You can now land everywhere with a CS1 or 2, which you couldn't originally do. The fine kiosks that we have around the verse you can surrender at, and it will give you that 20% discount off of your time, which means you don't have to go do like death by cop in a ship. Yeah,
I think the crime stat 1 and 2 changes are probably 2 of the single biggest quality of life changes that we've put in. It's a simple thing.
Claro, está comentando de que está hablando sobre la zona de Carea, que se va a convertir en una zona de PvP y que pues en la 3.18 se va a concentrar el PvP ahí. O eso es lo que esperan. Tendrán que hacer ajustes, balanceos y realmente ver si eso es lo que sucede, si realmente pues favorece el que de alguna manera se divida el contenido PvE del contenido PvP haciendo eso. Y si esto es bueno, que tendrán que esperar a ver el feedback de cómo nosotros de qué nos parece a los jugadores, ¿no? Y luego pues el tema de que en Carea pues tenemos como la posibilidad de alguna manera de controlar lo que sucede con la misión, los tiempos de la misión, el tiempo que queremos estar bajo esa situación, que van a hacer un completo rebalanceo de lo que es el tiempo que se tarda en sacar el crimen, el cómo se quita uno el crimen. También tener en cuenta que hasta nivel 2 de criminalidad podremos aterrizar las estaciones e incluso si nos entregamos reduciremos un 20% de la condena, que lo podemos hacer en las pantallas de donde se pagan las multas. Recordar que también hay una en Greenhex. Vamos a ver qué tal va esto.
Multiple things on that island to finish the mission.
Okay. So no guarantee that it's coming for 318. Just it's one of the things that's happened is unless you may not be aware, 318 was originally scheduled to come out, towards the end of September, the beginning of October. It has now been pushed out, currently scheduled for December 8th, I think. And along with that time, that's the devs haven't stopped working. They're not just the stuff that was in 318 is now still the stuff that they're looking to add as much stuff. That's part of our staggered continuous development. It's we're still working on this stuff. So if this comes available, if this becomes ready in time, then it will be included when 318 branches.
I'd say one thing that did get put in that I'd like to mention, it was a personal pet peeve of mine, but in the next release, now when you go, whenever I play and I go to a sort of a Platinum Bay and I land at a Platinum Bay and I'm presented with a list and I'm on my dev account, so I've got like all the ships and I can see every single ship and I don't know which ones I can spawn. We've now made it so that when you're at the Platinum Bay, you'll only see ships that you can actually spawn at that location that actually fit the size. That was one of my sort of pet peeves that I asked to put a task in for, and we got round to it. So that's something I'm proud of.
It's huge.
I see someone putting finally, so I've helped someone out, not just me.
Yes, and I'm being told that I actually have no idea what the date is, so I don't know where I got that date from. But don't take, like I said, we don't.
Me dice una de las cosas que están orgullosos de que han hecho es que ahora cuando vas a un Platinum Base solo ves realmente las naves que puedes spawnear allí, ¿no? Que caben en el Platinum Bay. O sea, que se refiere a supongo que se refiere a la de las lunas, ¿no?
Let's jump back to investigations a little bit. A lot of it's going to have to, the communication, the clues, the interactions with things. It seems like it's going to be very heavily affected by Moby-Glass.
Yeah.
At CitizenCon, we saw a whole new Moby-Glass on the horizon. get to wait until the new mobiGlas is here before you start designing investigations right now. Does this mean that everything that you're going to build right now or building along the way is going to have to be redone when the new mobiGlas comes?
No. So we have to design for both. Currently, we have a design for how to sort of awkwardly use our current mobiGlas to ensure that we can give all the information to the players that they do need to see. However, we also are, involved in the new mobiGlas and the new contracts manager we're doing. And with that, we can sort of mold it for our needs as well, because obviously the mission team, the contract manager is pretty much used for us, so we can sort of mold it and see how it fits and make sure that we have all the...
Una de las cosas que le han hecho es, significa que todo lo que estés haciendo tendrá que ser rehecho en el mobiGlas, las misiones de investigación, las misiones nuevas y demás. Y dice que no, que realmente están diseñando para los dos mobiGlas al mismo tiempo, el nuevo y el actual.
Work in progress and everything on there. During the presentation, there were a number of comments on Spectrum and in the YouTube comments about it was like only 15,000 credits.
God.
Only
Yeah,
15,000
yeah.
credits for doing this mission. Like that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on. Let's go to my camera. I'm going to. He goes. The first thing we work out is not the mission reward. The mission reward is literally one of the last things that gets worked out. So whenever you're watching ISC or SCL or CitizenCon or anything, and you see it's only paying out this, or it sends you to this number. If you're looking at any numbers in any numbers whatsoever in the new underground facility segment that we aired yesterday, when you're talking about the number of designers and the stuff, if it's numbers, it's all work in progress. It's just thrown in there as we're working out the demonstration of stuff. Please do not ever take those numbers.
Está hablando de que la gente vio que daban 15.000 de pasta en la CitizenCon por la misión y que no se ponen locos, que los números, que simplemente es un placeholder, que en cualquier ISC o tal, que son un placeholder de momento, ¿no?
It's probably on me because I'm lazy. We have, how we boot missions is via a record, and that has, I think, something like 140 fields. And there's a bunch that have to be filled in for it to be able to work. So when I'm doing what's known as a dirty prototype, which is me just mocking it up in the most, horrible way before, like as a proof of concept before we move on to the actual one, I duplicate an already existing mission record, so it takes all of their values across. So I think I duplicated like an easy eliminate all mission, which was 15,000, and I saw on the YouTube comments, people like, I'm not doing this for 15,000, I'm not going to spend hours trying to figure this out and never do it. I'm like, it's not 15,000, I haven't touched any of that stuff.
Chat is telling me that December 8th is a Thursday. So yeah, at this point we've been specking out that week's ISC, so that's why that's in my head. Let's see what else we got. Have you guys talked to this investigation stuff? Have you guys talked to character art at all about getting some detective style clothing done, like a 30th century version of Sherlock's whatever that was?
Ready, right? We have a monocle in game.
Is a monocle inherently a detective thing?
All you need is a magnifying glass, right?
Smoke pipe.
Yeah.
A nice Columbo-esque duster. No? Yeah, no talks with community.
Well, you could do the thing you did to UI and look in the camera and ask them for it if you want.
Okay,
Go to Jared.
Hey, character art. Hey, Damien.
Bueno, están hablando, está pidiendo Discolando de si hay algún tipo de ropas estilo de detectivesco, y dice de investigador, ¿no? Y dice que, y ahora Discolando dice, puedes pedírselo a la peña de tal, y se lo está pidiendo la gente de arte que planteen un traje o ropajes, ¿no?, relacionados con la investigación.
Was it this week? This week, you had your go no go for a new a way to remove crime stat, a special mission that we've hinted at in ISC, a new way to escape prison and wipe your crime stat without having to go to Korea. How'd that go no go?
Well, it went great. Finally. It took a few tries, but we got it through. So the idea was we felt like the prisons had gone through quite a long period of not very many changes, and it was definitely an area of gameplay that most players will encounter at least at some point.
Some more than others.
Yeah, some more than others for sure. So we wanted to add some content to it to to spice it up again, and given the changes coming to the rest of the game, it really made sense for us to add some more to the prison. So we've made a number of changes, including putting in a new mission that does exactly what you say. It allows you to
Remove your crime stat.
remove your crime stat, yes, by the help of a not so friendly friend that you'll make along the way.
So at this point, let's go back.
Dice que están diciendo de que hay una misión nueva en la cárcel que va... Un momento.
To show you the go, no go that was...
Nos va a enseñar la misión de la prisión, por lo visto, que nos va a permitir sacar la criminalidad de una forma alternativa cuando salgamos de la prisión, que no tendremos que ir a Carea, que va a ser uno de los cambios importantes que van a traer.
Mostly like, it had like 20 minutes of Max just getting lost in the caverns underneath Gleischer. So we've cut out his just...
Y parece que vamos a conocer a un coleguita que nos va a guiar por la misión dentro de la cárcel. Vamos a ver.
We got about 10 minutes now. This is going to show you what this new method is. So if you don't want to see that, if you want to preserve yourself, this is where the spoiler...
Si no queréis ver cómo se hace la misión, mirad otra cosa más que hacer. Si no queréis el spoiler, que no miréis esto.
Streamers
Yo lo quiero ver, la verdad. Hasta este punto yo lo quiero ver.
play the go no go video, and we're going to do a version of your commentary live here, because the dialogue wasn't recorded during the meeting. So we've got the visuals. We're going to add new audio, and yeah, with that, that's enough warning. Let's play the clip. All right. So we're starting off in Gleischer.
Yeah, so we're when I recorded this, I tried to do it from the perspective of a player who would have just arrived in prison. And generally, I think when players go to prison, they either try to enter the escape route straight away and get out of there as fast as possible, or they head into the mines to dig up rocks and serve their sentence like a good citizen. And here I just allude to that as you kind of...
Dice, los jugadores o tratan de escapar a la primera de cambio o tratan de meterse en los túneles para minar como buenos ciudadanos.
The deeper you go into these prison caves, the more likely you are to find rarer ore. And rarer ore, when you return it, will give you back some...
That's an
some
NPC.
good ore
Claro, hay NPCs en la prisión. Esto es nuevo.
that we've added to prison.
Dice, a medida que te vas metiendo más en la profundidad encontrarás minerales de más calidad.
Place a bit more. So we've added emergent AI that will spawn in the caves and sort of wander around. It really adds some life to it. These AI can also be killed, and they will drop prison loot. So any
Dice que la inteligencia artificial también puede ser eliminada y dará loteo de prisión.
be on any of these AI. However, if you do so in the prison, you'll know that you'll get a murder charge still. So you will increase your sentence.
Claro, pero si haces eso en la prisión, aumentarás tu condena.
You can see the mission was just offered to the player. Now, this was triggered because the player got so deep into the mines that he entered a new section of the prison mines that we're calling the prison black spot. So this means that this area of the prison is so deep underground that the clasher can no longer block communication.
Están hablando de que te metes tan profundo en la prisión de que tienes un punto ciego de bloqueo y entonces te pueden contactar por el Moviglass y adquirirás una misión. En este caso de Ruto, que dices, ¿necesitas una forma de salir fuera?
Is to retrieve a data chip that one of his other little minions failed to smuggle out of the escape route for him. So he's asked you to find his fallen fellow and retrieve the data chip and upload the data.
I would like to quickly just say, I've just seen a lot of people call out trespassing. That was a bug.
Yeah,
we fixed it. It wasn't meant to be there.
Yeah, that's there because in order to do the test, you just warped yourself to the prison.
We
You didn't actually have the crime
Yeah,
scene, right?
we technically I'm not allowed here.
All right. So we're back up. So we've been skipping ahead a bit. Every time we fade to black, we skip ahead like 3 minutes. So we're now up. You're back at the fan. Folks will recognize.
Pero esto sería la parte del ventilador igual y parece que tenemos que contactar con alguien que está como ahí atascado y tratar de subir la información.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
And yeah, we've so in terms of the escape route itself, we haven't. It would be a very big task to change the whole thing, but in order to add a little extra to it, we've the body that the data chip is on is kind of floating on these platforms within the main cylinder of the escape route. And it will be different each time where the body spawns, but as you can see here, this is quite high up in the escape route. Anyone familiar with this will know that this is right near the end of the escape route, but the body is sort of in the middle, so I locate one jump to make it across.
Vale, dice que cada vez el cuerpo aparecerá en un lugar distinto y está como flotando ahí en el medio. Y entonces que cada vez tendremos que buscar el cuerpo en un sitio diferente.
To get to the body and to retrieve the data chip, and then once you've got to this point, it's very difficult to re-enter the route, a safe point. So you might have to go to a point that you didn't previously go to, and sort of find your way back to the escape route and get away. It's
Depending
also
on
worth,
where the body spawned.
yeah, and it's also worth mentioning that the moment you escape prison, you're automatically put onto a timer. Because of Aberdeen's natural temperature on the planet, you know, the player's body temperature will increase rapidly, and so to sort of complete this mission or to get to the rover, you are already on a timer. This will add some time to that timer. It's significantly more difficult if you damage yourself along the escape route at any other point, which is quite common. So yeah, in the process of escaping prison, you will need to get past the trip mines, which was the first thing I ever added as a designer to the game.
I remember there was a conversation just a bit before that where Max said like...
Claro, está diciendo que además, debido al clima de Aberdeen, tendrás un tiempo limitado para hacer esto. Y entonces podrás utilizar lo que es el URSA o hacerlo como... Entiendo que puedes hacerlo como siempre o utilizar este método. Vamos a verlo.
We've now, after falling about 6 or 7 times, most likely.
Yes.
We've come to the little storage crate that's got the URSA. We've got the code for the URSA.
Yeah, so you grab them from the guard room and then you escape prison, just like it was before. We've made a slight change here in this rover that spawns now will now spawn with some guns inside of it. The purpose of this will be shown just shortly, because towards the end of this mission you're going to be required to enter some combat.
Interesante, porque dice que ahora mismo el rover, a diferencia de antes, que esto es la nueva forma de escaparse de la cárcel. Entonces, a diferencia de antes, el URSA aparecerá con armas dentro, pues el contenido de esta misión requiere que tengamos que entrar en combate.
So Ruto wants this data directly uploaded to him, not physically handed to him. So they have Ruto and his gang have conveniently stashed a satellite inside a derelict that is that you'll see just shortly here. So after the player has a short rover ride over Aberdeen's lower orbit, low gravity planet, which is also very fun, by the way, trying to drive that thing over the surface. They will arrive at a derelict, and this derelict has got security from Hurston Security, who have gone there to investigate what's going on, and which is why there is a cutlass parked there, and the player will have to fight off the security that are here, and so that he can upload to the satellite.
Claro, parece que el jugador tendrá que llegar aquí a esta zona donde está este naufragio, este crasheo, este accidente, y parece que aquí vamos a tener que enfrentarnos a la seguridad de Hurston Security. Y además, pues una vez abatamos a la seguridad, podremos enviar los datos a un satélite para poder quitarnos el crimen. Está diciendo además que esta misión está planteada para hacerse solo.
Whoever is on the mission, it cannot be shared, the mission. One person will get to wipe their crime stat. So if they were going to enlist help from a friend, they might want to make sure that it was the person with the mission killing them off. Because you're going to get 4 murder charges from doing this, but uploading to the satellite at the end will wipe you clear of them. So
the person who took the mission. So again, so if your friends come, if you enlist your friends, your crime stat will be cleared.
Yes.
But your friends will still have the new murder charges.
They'll have a long sentence.
They can essentially transport you. They can bring you here, but if they kill anyone, then they're going to end up back there in Klesher.
And the whole idea of doing this is to avoid having to go to Klesher.
Exactly.
So that's your incentive to doing this solo. So it looks like you switched guns because the first one ran out of.
Yep, there's only one clip in either gun, as obviously Horizon. Hurston didn't just leave an ammo carted full of bullets rover right next to the prison. But as you can see here, I take out the AI and I'm putting the data chip back into my hand to upload into the satellite, and this is mission complete. So the data chip will be eaten by the satellite. Ruto will get his his much needed data about the insides of Clasher, and the player will walk away crime free. There's also that cutlass now can be commandeered by the player, so they also have a way to escape the planet.
Claro, está diciendo de que esta misión solo la podemos hacer solo, no se puede compartir, o sea que entiendo que puede haber competencia por esta misión, evidentemente. Aparte de esto, nos está comentando de que podremos utilizar la Cutlass de que ha llegado la seguridad para poder escapar.
One of the closest settlements to Clasher is what is it?
Barton Flats.
Barton Flats, and we've added an ASOP terminal there. So if you are alone, it's not exactly a short hike, but there's a hike you can do, and you can get your ship if you do escape.
Are you stealing the security's cutlass now?
Yes.
We are, yes.
You just cleared your crime stat.
Well, let's hope they don't find us.
Yeah.
But I guess there's nobody alive to report the crime, is there?
Exactly.
No.
No, not unless you get found.
No.
Is a crime really a crime if nobody's there to report you?
Well, you could fly this ship to the new Platinum Bay.
Exactly,
To
and
the
get your own
Barton
ship out
Flats.
there.
Gotcha.
There we go.
So the mission not only gives you a way to clear your crime stat, but now it gives you a way to escape
Yep.
the planet
Yes.
without needing to
Yeah.
call for friends.
One of the like issues we noticed with the first sort of escape route we had was that a solo player, it really isn't good for them, because they'll get out and they could put up a service beacon waiting for someone to pick them up, or they're just stuck. So this kind of helps that solo player lifestyle get off, and plus with the addition of the Platinum Bay, even if you've not taken the mission, you should be able to go and get your stuff.
Cool. Well, I think that's about it. Sorry, I was. Chair is being weird. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with us and for talking about the investigation stuff that we saw at CitizenCon, talking a bit about what your team is bringing to.
Bueno, pues ya he visto el tema de lo que es la misión, de que así pues un jugador solo sí podrá sacarse la criminalidad. No sé qué pensáis de esto. Ya veremos a ver, ¿no? De cómo va esto, pero bueno, la idea de que un jugador estuviera acá de alguna manera capado a necesitar otras personas para sacarse el crimen era interesante, ¿no? Veremos a ver cómo sale.
Elliot, Max, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Guys, we're going to take a short break. We're going to throw it to a few more community commercials, and when we come back, we'll be joined by John Griffiths from EU Sandbox 2. And
Ahora van a poner los comerciales de la comunidad, estos que han dicho que envían los comerciales de la comunidad y todo eso. A ver qué ha hecho la peña.
This is Jack. Jack is a successful trader. Unfortunately for Jack, he encounters local pirates. They want ransom money, just a fraction of his profits. Jack refuses the proposal. In his mind, he is a hero. Now, Jack is dead, and all of his belongings go to the pirates anyway. Don't be like Jack. Be smart. Pay ransom. Sponsored by the Sinister Incorporated Pay Ransom Campaign.
Flying across the
Era un anuncio de extorsión, chavales. Paga tu extorsión. Sé listo.
As a calling, there could be only one ship up to the task. It's not just for the diamond laminate panel observation deck, nor for the proprietary lightweight durable hull plating. More, it's the full ensemble of comfort and safety that the Origin 600i provides as a home away from home. The backdrop may change, but the 600i is always centre frame. I'm Thomas Forrester, and I fly the Origin 600i. Origin 600i. luxury without compromise.
Small hands, so come down to Kelto today for quality products at low prices.
And that was another fine selection of community-created commercials, adverts, whatever you want to call them, created by you, the Star Citizen community, and uploaded to our own Community Hub. Now, if you're not familiar with it, the Community Hub is a fantastic area on the robertspaceindustries.com website where you can submit content, you can find content, you can vote up which content you like most and stuff like this. We are hoping that by including these in the show, we will inspire the creation of more. We want to see ads for your own organizations. We want to see commercials or videos about the fictional brands that already exist within the universe. Narrative, short form narrative stories about your adventures within the universe. Basically, as long as it's got not any royalty trademark music in it, and try to keep the swears down if you can. I'm told repeatedly, got to keep the swears down. And it's roughly about 45 seconds to maybe 2 to 3 minutes. We'd love to showcase it here on Star Citizen Live each and every week. So hopefully you'll get cracking, you'll submit them to the Community Hub, and be sure you vote on which ones you want to see included and showcased on the show more. And maybe there might be some incentives added to this at some point, whatnot. We'll see how it works. So, Kiri Doc says, I heard Kraken. No,
Estaba comentando Estaba comentando sobre el tema de subir contenido al Community Hub para que pudiera salir aquí anunciado. Puede ser de la org o de lo que queráis.
Joining us on the show now is a member of the CIG development staff on EU Sandbox 2 that you met for the first time yesterday on Inside Star Citizen. None other than lead environment artist. Is there a number after that?
No,
just lead
maybe
environment.
just a one.
Just lead environment artist, Mr. John Griffiths. John, how you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for agreeing to be on the show. Now, a little bit of the reality folks might not understand. We actually had a whole different set of guests booked on the show, and they fell ill collectively at the same time. So we found that out this morning, and John was gracious enough to, with no prep, with no forewarning, to come and sit in and chat with us. So, John, the second half of these shows are a little bit different than the first. The second half, we like to get to know the people, get to hear a bit about their story and how they work. So, right off the bat, I'm just going to ask you, how did you get involved in the industry?
I grew up playing video games, like I'm sure a lot of people did who work in the games industry. And that's what I wanted to do at university, but my parents weren't really on board with that. Probably a bit like a lot of other people as well. So I actually went to, I really liked IT and art at school and product design. And I went to university and did web design.
Está comentando de cómo se embarcó la aventura de meterse en el mundo de los videojuegos, ¿no? Y dijo que, bueno, que quiso hacer, que siempre he jugado los videojuegos desde siempre, cuando se metió en la universidad y demás a estudiar IT. Y que le gustaba la IT, le gustaba arte y demás, pero parece ser que sus padres tampoco no estaban muy de acuerdo con la labor, que seguro que es el caso parecido a otras personas.
Basically fast-tracked me into the 3D world, and then I actually started in animated film, and I was doing 10-minute short films for theme parks and attractions. So you know how for us Cineworld do that 4DX thing where you're riding around in the chair. We were doing that before it was cool. So
that was never cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So I was doing that for a while, and then I moved over to video games. You know, that's where I wanted to go eventually. It just took me some time to get there. So I worked on a few Lego games for a bit, and then I went to a VR.
Está comentando de que estuvo trabajando en animación, en cinemáticas y demás. Y luego pues se movió a lo de videojuegos, que era lo que quería hacer, aunque le costó un poco llegar, y parece que estuvo trabajando para... hizo algunos trabajos en juegos de Lego.
In the background, the video game industry is incredibly for lack of a better word, incestuous. You end up meeting the same people back and forth, left and right. Oh yeah, you were here when I was here, and you were here. I remember in my very first day, literally my very first day here at CIG, both Matt Sherman and Darian Vorlik, two names from the past, the old-time Star Citizens might remember. In the kitchen, I was in the kitchen getting something. They both like, "Hey, didn't you used to work at Blizzard?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I remember you." Hi. I'm like, "I don't remember you at all." But I felt so bad. But it's just you end up running into many of the same people, and then the companies get bought and moved over into companies, and then
Está diciendo de que en el mundo de los videojuegos a nivel empresarial que parece que se conocen, ¿no? Que se van juntando y es un mix de gente que vuelves a ver y cambia de empresa y vuelve y os volvéis a cruzar el camino, ¿no?
What separates a lead environment artist from a senior environment artist from a regular environment artist?
So for the underground facilities, I'm the product owner. So it's up to me, or it's on my shoulders to deliver this location. So it's not just doing the art, it's managing the team, doing the planning, checking everyone, like unblocking people, working with other disciplines, making sure that everyone's got what they need in order to do their jobs is my job.
As a lead environment artist, do you do actual art?
Yes, I do, and I have been doing recently. So a lot of the stuff that you saw in the CitizenCon and in the ISE is some work I've been doing. So we're very much early stages, white box, just like I said in the video, just getting some content out so that we can play it within context.
Está comentando cuál es la diferencia entre un lead artist, un senior y un regular, ¿no? Y dice que él pues, lo que tiene que hacer básicamente es él está a cargo, él es responsable de que se entregue el producto, en este caso los bunkers, él está a cargo de ese proyecto, a cargo de que eso se entregue. Y que bueno, pues que también hace arte, pero bueno, que al final tiene que encargarse de administrar el equipo de alguna manera.
General smooth running of getting this location out the door.
I find that this happens in a lot of disciplines and a lot of the verticals where it's when you're hired in as like the base thing, whether you're a designer or whether you're an artist or whatnot, you're doing the thing that you were originally intended to do. And then you move up to a senior and you take a bit more administrative role and you end up doing less of the art or less of the design. Am I right here, Elliot?
I mean,
you're not mic'd.
Maybe for other people.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, and then you get to lead, and I imagine you get to lead, and then you're doing even less art or less design, and then you get to director, and everybody knows directors don't actually do any work. Go to my camera. That was just for Tyler Wicken. I chose violence today. But yeah, they're always hold on, let's see if I got a message. Hold on, do I get a message? Is he watching? Tyler, are you watching? Okay, he's not watching. He's not watching. So how much of that holds true for you? How much art do you still get to do versus how much administration and growing your team and stuff?
So in the last couple of weeks, I've probably been doing more admin and planning stuff, and that's what you saw in the IC. But I'll be going back into doing art, so my switch, I've been kind of 80% planning, 20% art, and I'm switching back to...
Claro, está haciendo que su trabajo es simplemente una entrevista informal que le están haciendo a este señor, ¿no? Que nos estuvo comentando el otro día sobre el tema de cómo se maneja lo que es un equipo para que pueda sacar para poder sacar los búnkeres adelante. Y dice que bueno, pues que su tiempo se emplea pues 80% administración de grupo y 20% el poder hacer algo también de arte él, ¿no?
Your team, the EU Sandbox 2.
Yep, so we've got Martin and Fröck who are in the Frankfurt studio. Martin did the racetracks for anyone who remembers those. And then we've got Luke in the UK who's just started, which is great. And then on the design front, we've got Manuel and John who were in DE, and we've got James in the UK. So it's not just art focused, it's being the product owner, you have to be aware of design and how that fits into it as well.
Now, during the segment yesterday, when we switched to the spreadsheets and we saw the absolutely concrete and accurate numbers that don't change ever. And are always the very first thing that get entered. I think it said there was like 2,674 days to complete the underground facility. So when should we be expecting this? 2032? I don't know how many years that 2,674 days is.
Oh, see, it's funny because when we filmed that was my latest and greatest spreadsheet at the time. Since then, I've revisited my numbers and they've, fluctuated a little bit, let's say. But also when we were filming it, the number of artists was reduced. So of course the number of days is going to be higher. Now we've kind of balanced the books a bit, but I'm not going to give you a concrete date because I don't know myself yet.
Fair enough. And that number anyway is not like contiguous days. Those are the number of like, I guess, person days or something?
Yeah, person days. And this isn't including any holiday or sickness because I encourage people to take holiday. And, if you're ill, please stay at home. This is just kind of days in which it might take to deliver this location. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I have not been messaged by Tyler.
Nada, estaba preguntándole sobre fechas y dice que no va a dar ninguna fecha porque ni siquiera las sabe él mismo, ¿no? Y dice que además, ¿y tenéis días de descanso y demás? Sí, de hecho anima a la gente a que tome sus días de descanso y demás. Y que si está enfermo que se quede en casa.
I love directors and especially Todd, who's messaging me right now. You okay? How's that, Todd? Is that good? All right, so with that, I think I've successfully set enough fires during the day. This is what happens. We used to, the show used to be all backer questions. And when the show was all backer questions, I was safe. I could just play mediator and whatnot. But when we changed to the talk show format and I had to come up with anything, it's clear that I'm going to have to practice safe questioning a little bit because I'm just... Hopefully this won't be the last broadcast. Anyway, that's the show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on this week's Star Citizen Live. Be sure you tune in next week to Inside Star Citizen. We have got a feature that I know many of you have been waiting for. We've got Chad McKinney and Dan Griffiths, no relation, from our Austin studio, and they're going to be talking about the current progress on the Cargo Refactor. Just going to give you guys a moment.
El próximo Inside Cargo Refactor, chavales.
And then Morgan from here in the UK studio is going to give us an update on Rastar, which is a tool that we first saw
y una actualización en Rastar
last year that is currently being used to place a whole new host of outposts on the planets and moons of the Stanton system, and as well as the upcoming Pyro system. So check that out. That'll be next week on Inside Star Citizen. And for Star Citizen Live, it all depends on who shows up. We'll see. We have a plan, and then it goes away. So yeah, so for Elliot and Max hanging out at the bar back there, for John being an MVP and being a total champ and filling in at the last minute, I am Jared Huckabee. Be safe, have fun, don't burn any bridges that you absolutely don't have to because you're on live video, and we'll see you all next week, everybody. Take care.
Qué buena. Qué buena, chavales, la semana que viene, tío, qué buena, tío. Qué buena que vamos a ver el maldito cargo, tío. Ya era hora, chavales. Por fin tendremos el cargo, quiero ver una cosilla de por aquí, en el bot.
The law system and how...
With that coming in 318.
This island is sort of semi... of people to do more in these siege islands and, make them more usable across the sort of scope. So what we've done, and again, it's something we saw in Siege a lot, is when people would play it, they'd be playing in fire teams. Like, for example, Thorst, his org completed Siege in 12 minutes. 12 minutes, I'm like... In one of the missions is, this island is sort of semi-taken over. There are 3 of them out. And it allows you to, say, maybe split into 2, like one left, and go walk all... but it kind of allows for,
Some big changes coming to Korea that... faced with a much bigger challenge now, much less places to clear yourself free of crimes. Korea will become a big hotspot for PvP, hopefully. it's going to be really interesting to see the overall feedback from the community. I don't know as much.
That's Lars. So I just
doxed
right.
Lars.
No, Lars actually is okay with. So yeah, it's hopefully a sort of a player-run systemic thing. So you as the player can go and actually cause this event to yourself. Rebalance overhaul to our law system and how we do crimes and how much we award for crimes, how long it takes to sort of get rid of crimes, where you can land with crimes. You can now land everywhere with a CS1 or 2, which you couldn't originally do. The fine kiosks that we.
Yeah, I think the crime stat 1 and 2 changes that we've put in. What else is coming in 3.18? So we've got the new Korea stuff. We've got the new missions that are going on to the Siege platforms when Siege isn't running. We'll talk about the prison stuff in a minute. Anything else coming in 3.18?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There's a couple of other bits and bobs I think we're working on, but I guess they're sort of tentative. We want to make sure that they are ready before we put them out. I'm not even sure if I'm good to talk about them.
What is it?
Oh God!
Just tell me right now.
We're working on another mission for the sort of siege islands that will involve actually an entire island sort of being taken over, and the players having to do multiple things on that island. To finish the mission.
Okay. So no guarantee that it's coming for 3.18. Just it's.
Claro, esto es lo que se me ha saltado, efectivamente. Nada, es simplemente una tontería. Bueno, no es una tontería, o sea, dice que hay una nueva versión de misión que quieren implementar que realmente, pues, dice que, o sea, realmente vamos a ver, en lo de las islas nuevas de Horizon, vamos a ver algunas islas que están tomadas, es decir, que están parcialmente tomadas. Y que pues tendremos como que varias formas de acceso, ¿no? Lo que comentaba antes, que podríamos entrar por aire, podríamos entrar... no sé si... O sea, quería decir a través de una lanzadera, de un shovel, pero hay que mirar a ver cómo van a ser, ¿no? Porque supongo que habrá diferentes tipos. Lo que nos está comentando es que como que están trabajando en algo más picantón, ¿no? Porque dice que como que va a haber una isla entera tomada y que a ver si lo sacan para la... O sea, y que están trabajando en ello, que no saben seguro si va a salir para la 3.18 porque luego comentaba Discolando que bueno, que debido a que el lanzamiento de la 3.18 se ha retrasado, los desarrolladores como que siguen trabajando, ¿no? Y entonces pues quizás hay cosas que y para tratar de meter todo el contenido posible. La mejor noticia que tenemos del Star Citizen Live en realidad, que todo esto que nos han contado está muy bien, pero la mejor noticia que tenemos es que el jueves de la semana que viene vamos a ver la carga fisicalizada, el reward de la carga, mejor dicho. Vamos a ver el reward de la carga. Ojalá muestren realmente cómo funciona, porque estamos en la sombra. Estamos en la sombra, chavales. Madre mía. Madre mía. Y con esto voy a... si me lo permitís, tomar un descansito. Y si no me lo permitís también, porque necesito un descansito. Y venga ahora. No tardo. Voy al servicio, tal, todo eso. Esas cosas que hacen los seres humanos. Ya vengo, chicos.